Alright, so today I have a little bit of a different video. This will be uploaded on June 1st. I'm gonna schedule to upload this for June 1st. It's the first upload for June in the month of the Insane Trilogy, which is cool and all, but there's something that's I don't want to say a bit. When I say a bit, I don't mean a little, because a bit is like the next step of little, but this is a bit concerning because one night I was talking to a friend, which is here with me, but he's not gonna talk at the moment. There was a video by Hip Hop Gamer of him playing Warped, or Dan Tanguay playing Warped. And as you guys know, I met Dan Tanguay. That's the thumbnail of the video. He was in the room with Dan Tanguay, and they were discussing the Insane Trilogy and a lot of other things, because for some reason Hip Hop Gamer likes to ramble on a lot. That's not a shot, but you know, he just does that. But however, there was something that was said in the video by Dan Tanguay, and it was actually quite concerning and kind of scary. Now, I don't know if y'all remember, but I did a video not too long ago talking about the future of the Crash Bandicoot series and how the fans are, you know, what determines the future. Not because in sales, but also to, you know, just to not be assholes and stuff, and not be too critical or, you know, analytical about things. Dan Tanguay in the clip of the video actually mentions that when like not even minutes after, or minutes after, one of the two, either not minutes or even after minutes, pretty much as soon as they put up a video that's new for the Insane Trilogy, people on Reddit, NeoGAF, and I believe YouTube are like comparing, you know, the Insane Trilogy to the original PS1 games, and he says that it puts a bit of fear in them. However, it's still exciting. Now, I get it, because I'm not a game developer, so I wouldn't truly understand what the feeling's like, you know, to experience that, or have that feeling, you know, actually being in this position to remake games that are so iconic and legendary to gaming itself. It's just a little weird to me that he had to say that it put fear in them, that people were comparing the original trilogy to the Insane Trilogy, and I don't know. What do you have to say about this?
Well, what I basically have to say about this is that it's kind of nonsense. I mean, yeah, Insane Trilogy does consist of, you know, remaster remakes, you know, completely from the ground up, from PlayStation 4, completely remastered in 4K, and, you know, that's a great thing, but I don't think it should be a situation in which they have to fear, because those games are ridiculously old. Like, you know, they came out from 1996 through 1998. They're not even difficult to recreate, especially given the fact that they were giving the original meshes from the level designs that Naughty Dog had, so they could build on top of that. I really do think that people are being just a bit too critical when it comes to very small things that don't really matter, like the water in Tomb Raider and things like that, and color differences. Look, it's okay for a game to have those sort of differences on a PS4. It's a bigger, more powerful machine with a better separation of colors. I think a lot of people tend to get mixed up with the rich detail of the original, because it was based off a system where they had limits, so they kind of had to work themselves, you know, around those things.
Right.
But on the PS4, they don't have to work around those. Like, for example, people who say the textures look better in the PlayStation version of Crash Bandicoot Warp's Tomb Raider, well, that's because the textures are hand-drawn. That's kind of not fair. Insane Trilogy, they're carved into the wall. They're faded because they gave it a more realistic sense of lighting, and it even has paint peeling off of it. So that actually looks like they tried to paint over it, but, you know, with faded paint. It's a completely different story. And I think that if people keep on criticizing Crash the way that they do, and I don't even say this for Insane Trilogy, but just for Crash as a whole, I do think they will eventually scare Activision again, because they were scared before, you know, which is why we hadn't seen Crash in like 8 years. They had to figure out how to bring it back, and then they bring it back, and then, you know, they go to NeoGAF, they go to all these other sites, and they see nothing but negative stuff of people just dissecting the levels and comparing them and saying what's wrong with the new one. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism, but the way that people tend to do this,
they keep making drastic comparisons to the original in comparison to the Insane Trilogy. And one of the games I'm playing right now is actually from Vicarious Visions. So when you play this and play the original, you're obviously gonna have a different feeling, because these were made for 2 different consoles. Yeah, PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 and the PS4 are all about PlayStation, but they're still overall different consoles. And when there comes different consoles, there comes certain sacrifices and things that you can't do to mimic the original trilogy, which is why the Insane Trilogy is not exactly the same as how it is on PS1, the previous games.
Well, you know, if they did do everything that the PS1 did, the game would actually look terrible, because by today's standards, you have rules to follow. And you know, when they create games that are like Crash Bandicoot, right, they're like cartoon games, so they have specific ways to be designed,
right?
Everything from the lighting, physics, all that. You can't just use like a texture floating on top of a 3D map that rises up and down anymore for water. You actually have to create tides and everything. You gotta make sure that there's ripples in the water and whatnot. And these things are, by today's standards, really easy to achieve, you know, and to apply to your game. Back then, it was really hard to do that. There's really no comparison when you say a PS1 game looks better than a PS4 game. I mean, this applies with any game. You can't go to somebody and go, Mortal Kombat 1 looks better than Mortal Kombat X. People will look at you sideways, like, you know, because technology has gotten so far.
Right.
Plus, from this standpoint, why are people comparing them in the first place? I mean, the point of Insane Trilogy is to remaster the 3 games that you previously played as a kid with new visuals. And that's what they're doing. It doesn't have to be exactly the same.
And it's not just for you. It's not just for the fans. It's also for the upcoming generation. So what we grew up with is not gonna be the same as with, you know, holy shit, the new generation of children, or people in general, teens, whatever, are they're not gonna interpret the Insane Trilogy as we do with the PS1 games. Or I think I worded that differently. They're not gonna view how they're gonna have different feelings and opinions about it. That's what I'm trying to say. Holy shit. So,
and not only that, but they're gonna get the same experience, but you know, with just different visuals, because that's what they're aiming for. You know, to kind of modernize it, the way it looks, and, you know, the way the levels look, even the way Crash looks. Like, everything is, you know, revamped in a way. They're trying to give it like a fresh new start. Like, okay, this worked on the PlayStation, let's see if it works on the PS4, and that could lead to some future Crash games. You know? But there's the way that people are saying things, like saying that they want the same sort of gameplay, saying that they want the same sort of visuals. That kind of holds back what they're going for, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it does. And when it comes limitations, comes a lot of setbacks, which then results into more like I don't want to say discrepancies, but I guess controversy, because there are like a good amount of people that want something new with Crash Bandicoot, and they are the same there, and there are people that still want the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, there was somebody, I'm not gonna say the person's name, I don't even know the person's name, but I can't remember, at least some person said that like Crash Bandicoot should never go open world or some shit like that, when Mind Over Mutant, I guess they don't know Mind Over Mutant exists, but I mean, half of Twin Sanity exists. I only say half because that game was like half open world, but
yeah,
yeah, it's just a lot. Moral of the story, I don't think that people should be. I'm not gonna say you, because you're the one watching this. Maybe you're not one of the people, but I don't think that people should be too critical when it comes to this whole thing, because this is just a video game after all, and it's not even a realistic video. It's not going to be exactly how the PS1 games are, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know, just the mere fact that Dan Tanguay said that it's putting fear in him is making it sound like he's having pressure put on him as well at the same time, even though no one's really telling him what to do. It's just, well, actually they kind of are. It's too much. It's too much to like process. But also a little comparison here too. If you go back and look at Kirsten Forbes' interviews with Crash of the Titans, and you know how she was explaining the process, or you know the design choices that was going on with that game, and just how the game played overall. And then if you look at Dan Tanguay's interviews with the Insane Trilogy, there's clearly like two different sides of I don't want to say emotion, but one, you could definitely tell who's passionate and who isn't, or who's passionate but doesn't really know if they should show it or not because of the community. And you can tell if someone's passionate enough to just, you know, not really give a fuck what people say. 'Cause I don't even think Kirsten Forbes or just the whole Radical team in the past even care. They probably cared, but they wanted to still stay true with what they were going for, which is why Mind of a Mutant existed, which was like a slightly sister version of Titans.
Very passionate about what they did in their interviews. Like, they knew that criticism was to come, so they just tried their best not to focus on it and focus what was new, you know, what was coming in the game. What I see the difference is with Dan Tanguay is that, yeah, there is passion for the project. You can clearly see it in the game, right, and how they talk about it, but there's also a sense of nervousness, you know, like they're kind of shy and they're kind of scared at the same time. Like, they really don't know how to give you good answers when you answer them when you ask them questions like, hey, do you know if there's a future for Crash for this? Like, can you maybe make a open world game next? They're just like, I don't know, Activision, if it's up to them, blah blah blah. It's like they're not sure and they're not confident in their product because of how people are complaining. You know, they're scared. The fans aren't making them feel comfortable. I'm not saying all of you are doing that, but just some of them, you know. There's a few fans out there that are really making Dan nervous, and you want him to give, you know, but some people don't work well under pressure. You know, they get scared and they might miss a few details here and there, and it's because they really didn't have time to clear out and think. Like they said in that video, they go back and they play the PS1 game, they try to flesh out everything to make it near perfect, but the experience isn't going to be the same. I mean, you could always go back and play that for what made those games great.
Yeah.
Because they're timeless. You can always go back and play the original trilogy. But Insane Trilogy might not have that same lifespan.
That's one of the reasons why I said that the Insane Trilogy is not going to be the same as the original trilogy. It's not. So stop. So I think it's kind of pointless to even say this should be how this. Like, I think this should be how this was, or this should be that way. And this is like, no. Remember, this is not strictly designed for you.
Yeah.
And again, if you keep,
I see it as very temporary. But yeah. Go ahead.
And if you keep like just doing this constantly. Again, you may think that Vicarious Visions or whoever might not see the comments that you're making or something like that, but they do, and it shows in how they react, again, in interviews, or just how they handle themselves in general, or Dan, right, at least, you know. It's just scary to me because me, Crystal Fissure, and a bunch of other YouTubers, we've discussed Crash Bandicoot for a long time, you know, before he got an announcement at E3 with Skylanders and the remastered trilogy, and you know, just to see it fall, like just have a flat line afterwards, it's like, yo, this is kind of sad, and I don't want that to happen. So that's kind of why I'm making this video. This is kind of like a sequel to the Crash Bandicoot's future video. So yeah, you got any last words on this? Because I don't want this to be too long.
Yeah, I do. What I'm basically seeing here with like some of these Crash fans is kind of a mirror of things that happened in 2008, 2007, you know, with Titans and Mind Over Mutant, but just in a different way, if you get what I mean.
Oh yeah, nah, I feel the same way.
They're criticizing it in a way where it's very bad, you know. It's not constructive, it's actual criticism. And if they don't be careful, Crash can like just go away like that, because it's a very serious situation in which this series is pretty much at a tilting point, and if they push it too far, this could be the last Crash game, and I doubt anyone would want that. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah. So holy shit. Okay, so I'm not gonna say I think that's it for the video, but that is where the video is going to end. Actually, I think that the criticism needs to like lower down some, because again, like, the game's not designed for just fans that play the originals. And it's also like, again, I'm playing one of Vicarious Visions' games right now, so like I don't think that people should be treating them as if they don't know what they're doing. They're not a new dev. They're veterans. They know what they're doing. So yeah. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Excuse me, I just just thought I'd make this really quick. And yeah, you know, you don't want to be the reason. Y'all don't want to be the reason that Crash dies, because that's what it's slowly, very, very slowly starting to look like. It's slow, but it's kind of fast at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, just chill, lay off of Dan. You know, I don't think y'all should be telling a game developer, you know, how something else should be. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just awkward. So yeah, the link to that video will be in the description. The timestamp is at 10:33. Who knows? Maybe the link will automatically take you there. I'm not too sure, but I don't know. It's really weird to me seeing that and hearing that from Dan, because when I met him at PAX East 2017, he wasn't. I don't think he was like that. Him or the woman that was there, but
it seemed like he was more passionate back then.
Yeah, now it's kind of just like, it's like whatever. He's like kind of like in the whatever phase almost. At least that's what I see. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna end the video. Thank you all for watching, and the link to Victor's channel will be in the description. As always, what I do, have guests on videos and shit. So yeah, I'll see y'all later, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload, whenever that will be. Peace out.